first came in to meet with Gendy and he pitched the show to me, his whole take on it was a show that didn't take itself too seriously. So he wanted a real charm and just a lightness to it, even though it's action and it had a lot of drama.
The show is a lot about feel, gesture, trying to get things across with just visual components, and it seemed very epic, it seemed very cinematic.
And Gendy has set up this world where whatever you got, throw it in the pot. So, one day it's classic Viking king, another day it's some weird pig, redneck, swamp sheriff guy.
Jump now!
I always kind of complained about action shows. Just because I never got enough action, there was too much plot in most shows to have the time for the action. So I kind of started to work it out, and I started to get a concept together of what kind of show I wanted to make and how stylized it was going to be, and it was really more about the action with a really kind of thin through line of the story. And then I had this little idea about a samurai in the future, and then, well, how to make a samurai show and we can't obviously show him chopping up humans. It's like, oh, maybe he can chop up robots. And then that whole future element came in, and then it kind of started to develop from there.
The board artists they're like the writers of the show. There really are no scripts, and there's no real writers. It's the board artists themselves are really figuring out what really happens.
Just get a bunch of cats in a room and go, what did we like when we were 8? Well, we like sword fights, we like giant monsters, I like robots, okay, let's do some robots.
It needs to investigate this gigantic world that's full of strangeness, so it gave us carte blanche to do basically anything we wanted.
It was the most challenging project because I knew there'd be so much action. And how do you tell the story without dialogue? And how do you facilitate the action so the action is great, cool, fun, dramatic, and all that stuff. And I wanted to do really a lot of choreography, and how do you do that in television?
I've practiced martial arts for many years, especially Chinese wushu, a little bit of Wing Chun. So whenever I'm doing a board, I try to put in as much Chinese kung fu as possible.
They're holding their poses, the background streaks really fast, and the sparks are flying like crazy.
Samurai Jack was about the mood and the magic of it. So that's something you don't really see in television animation.
We really let the visuals kind of breathe and speak for themselves. So what I decided to do is to do things very slow, still with a good instinct to have it be, compelling and you're not bored. And then when things go fast, it goes crazy. No matter how much fighting you do, you want more. That's what we started to learn. If you have a shot and it's 5 seconds, and you think it's got like 30 poses, right? When you watch it on film, it just goes by like that. So then we go, okay, well, let's do more. Let's do 60 poses. And you're like, oh yeah, now it's awesome. I really wanted the shows to be very cinematic. And I also looked at a lot of the 70s cinema, more avant-garde stuff. I looked at, Andromeda Strain, The Longest Yard, a lot of these movies that had a lot of split screen, and I thought it was a really good visual language.
Some episodes that we've done, we want to play with a lot of the lighting, so really old Fritz Lang silent films with hard black and whites, would be interesting, or like Citizen Kane, Akira Kurosawa, or if it was animated, Akira from Katsuhiro Otomo. It's even as random as Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan the Barbarian.
I mean, Gendy is very into conceptual, artistic, it's like color statements.
The whole show kind of came together from simplicity, and I put it together as like white versus black over red.
Jack is a prince and a warrior.
His one weakness is his empathy for other people, so he'll always put somebody else over himself.
Ah, so now Mr. Goody Two-Sandals feels like talking, eh?
With Jack, you just kind of heard a lot of voices, and everybody's kind of doing their heroic voices, but I wanted a certain feel, a certain texture to it. And so Phil Lamar came by, and he does these great lines, and I was like, yeah, I think that's the voice.
It's a fairly easy job, because Jack doesn't speak a whole lot.
Thank you.
It's usually some guest person as the wizard or villain has 2.5 pages of exposition. Listen to me, warrior. Over the hill and through the woods, there is a great jewel. I see. I will find it. You know, and then I'm done.
And Aku came from, Akuman is actually demon in Japan. I wanted just pure evil because Jack was so much good, and I knew I wanted him to be a shapeshifter so he could fight in all kinds of forms.
And we were both on the coffee table, sitting on the floor, just going, oh yeah, and he could turn into a scorpion, and it might look like this, and then he could jump over him and swing the sword like this, and when he gets through with the sword, then he comes like this. And so we were like, every other panel, we were just on top of each other.
And then I've always wanted to work with Mako, who's the voice actor from Conan.
He just does this laugh that starts here, goes to the moon, and comes back. And it just goes. It's like, can't have any more breath. But it's still going.
One thing I can say about Jack is each episode is different from the next. You know, we really went all over the place, and I think that's kind of the fun of the series. That's kind of series I would want to watch.
Yeah, I don't know what actually happens to Jack ultimately. I almost don't want to know. I just want to keep having adventures with Jack.
Time will tell if it has any impact. I would hope it would give people inspiration to do new things.
People will watch for a very long time, watch and appreciate, you know, on a lot of different levels for a very long time.